What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dudes Who Bet Daily Show. Just me on the show today. We've got Magic out and Papa Dude still on vacation and Somich out as well. However, don't worry. We're still going to have a good show here as I'm going to go through the best bets of Somich and Mize later on in the show. But I'm going to do something a little different today since it's just me and we're kind of, winging it as far as this goes. It's going to be an all horse racing show. And so what I'm going to do, I've got 3 races picked out at Del Mar. I've got 4 races picked out at Saratoga. These are the 4 races at Saratoga and the 3 at Del Mar that I'm kind of most interested in, not only betting, but as a fan, like trying to watch these races and see what's going to happen. So I've got my picks and I've got Somich's picks. So we'll kind of go through this together and I'll give you who I like, who Somich likes. We'll kind of compare notes here, see, hey, they're alike in these races or that maybe they're very different in these races. Try to set you up for a big day of racing. So what I'm going to do, I'll just put the screen up so you don't see my big head on the screen the whole time, and I'll pull up the races that we're going to talk about. Let's start at Del Mar. I thought many of the races today that I'm interested in are 2-year-old races. Some of them I'm kind of like, maybe I'm looking for the next star, and some of them I'm like, wow, this is a great betting opportunity. As far as Del Mar, I don't know how good of this betting opportunity will be, but we'll go race 3 at Del Mar, maiden special weight for the 2-year-old fillies. And of course, Bob Baffert has the favorite here, the number 3 Elegant at 8-5. Flavian Pratt in town. He will ride Elegant in this spot. So obviously, I mean, anytime you're looking at the Del Mar maiden special weights, it starts and ends with Bob Baffert. We saw Pasture T win yesterday for Bob Baffert in very impressive fashion for a 2-year-old colt race. So let's look at race 3 here, though. Elegant's going to be my top pick. I do like the number 2 Feisty Matoli in second. I think this is a very interesting horse. Debuted last time out for Peter Miller, came within a half length of winning. It was a race that Dua came out of. Now, the downside, Dua did not come back to run all that well last time out. Last time out. Yesterday, I should say, which was last time out for Dua, just a better way of saying it. Ran in the stake yesterday, didn't quite run all that well. So, take that for what it is, but I do think Feisty Matoli will improve. So I went 3-2. I also used the 8. Rodney, looks like you like the 8 as well. Outspoken. This is a horse, looks like got some pretty decent work coming into this, pretty good breeding as well by Violence. So we'll see what happens with the 8. And that's kind of that other horse that, if you don't want to go with the favorites, you could use them. So I went 3, 2, and 8. Somich for this race at Del Mar. We saw it pretty similarly when we look at it. He went 3, 2, 8 as well. So we're pretty much exactly alike here. I do think it's one of these races where obviously, yeah, Baffert for sure. Obviously Miller, second time starter. Yeah. And then the 8 just kind of looks like that quote unquote other horse to use that you might be able to get a decent price on if the favorites falter. Let's go to race 4, the Best Pal Stakes, grade 3. I see Shoddy mentioning it as well. Grade 3 race here for the males, a field of 5. And that's pretty much, at least in my opinion, this field is pretty short because Muth, the 3-5 favorite for Bob Baffert, looks pretty darn tough in this race. Pretty good debut effort. I really think Muth is the one to beat here. I think this horse, as Rodney says, a single and move on. Michael Austin says, Muth, he's a monster. It looks that easy to me as well. So the 4 Muth for me on top, Somich with the 4 as well. He also, mentions the 5 as well, Prince of Monaco, and that's a horse that Flavian Pratt's going to ride. Another Bob Baffert runner here, but it just kind of seems like Muth is the better of the 2. I think if he runs back to how he's been, that performance that he had, it's going to be pretty tough to beat him. So, yeah, I think Muth is the single here in this early sequence. It seems like the chat really agrees. It doesn't look like it's going to be much of a contest if he runs back to that effort. So give me the 4 horse in here and give Somich the 4 horse Muth in the 4th race at Del Mar. One race I wanted to mention, and this is not a stakes race. It's not a, maiden special weight for 2-year-old where you might see stars. It's just kind of a horse that I really like. So let's go to, and Somich, by the way, put this horse on top as well. So let's go to the 8th race at Del Mar for the last one we're going to talk about here. It's an allowance race on the turf, going a mile. it's a field of 12 right now. We don't have scratches yet, so I think it will be a field of, there's not many scratches usually. So I like the 8 quite a bit, smart code, and I think the 8 is definitely worth a hard look in this spot here. Second time off the layoff, or third time off the layoff, second time going long off the layoff. I like the 8 quite a bit in this spot, smart code. I think this colt is going to be tough, and Mike Somich does like the 8 as well. But, listen, the 5 XJ Rascal did finish ahead of the 8 last time out, so the 5 garnered a little bit of my attention as well. That was his first start in the United States. We'll see if that horse can improve second start in the United States. And I see in the chat a lot of you like the 10. I've got the 10 in third. I definitely think it's one to keep an eye on. Broke the maiden 2 races back at Del Mar, and then last time out was 5th in a grade 3, but we haven't seen him in 308 days. That's kind of the question mark, but he looked to have a little bit of promise the last time we saw him. But yeah, the 8 smart code, 8, 5, 10 for me. For Somich, like I said, he did like the 8 on top as well. And he likes the 5 in second. He likes the 9. That's a horse I didn't use. Let's look at the 9 real quick. Zabul. Yeah, that's an interesting horse coming out of a stakes race where he was 7th last time out, but dropping back to allowance company, going 1 mile. 1 mile seems to be his best distance. He's got a little bit of class to him. Like I said, I didn't use him, but Somich does have him in third. So we'll see if Zabul can kind of do it for Somich. Like I said, I don't have that one listed, so I'm not going to be rooting for the 9. But for me, it's all about the 8. I went 8, 5, and 10. I don't know what price you're going to get on this 8. We'll see what happens. I don't know if we're going to get 4-1 on this horse, but if we could get 2-1, 3-1, I think that would be a pretty good price. So, all right, that's it for Del Mar. I'll answer this question that Rodney asked before we get to Saratoga as kind of a segue. Was anyone shocked set piece won like that yesterday? No, not really. It was one of those races, in my opinion, Rodney. Somebody had to win. I think they all kind of looked the same-ish, and it's just like they turn for home and somebody's going to outsprint somebody to the wire type of race. I guess I was shocked that he won so easily, that where you could like pick him up mid-stretch and you could be like, oh yeah, I like that he's going to be a 4 or 5 length winner or whatever, So, yeah, I guess maybe how the horse won, but I was not shocked that he won because it was just one of those things. It just wasn't, it just wasn't a very good race. So it is what it is. All right, let's go to Saratoga. Let's go to the ones I'm interested here as well. I thought this was interesting. Let's go to race 1 right off the bat. Maiden special weight here for the 2-year-old fillies. So similar to the Del Mar third race that we were talking about. I thought this was an interesting race because, 2-year-old fillies, it's a regular maiden special weight. This isn't one of those restricted ones. It's a $136,000 purse. You got no Todd Pletcher. You got no Steve Asmussen. You got no Chad Brown. And it's like, boy, isn't that strange? Because usually they would be loaded with horses for these races. So kind of an interesting race here. I was really confused by where to go. A lot of times you're not confused on these maiden special weights and you pick whoever and they run how they run, but you go into the race thinking, I think this one's a runner. I'm not really sure who's a runner in this race. And I was looking at Somich's picks here earlier today, and I think he's kind of, I wouldn't say all over the screen about it, but he's just kind of like, yeah, we got to go deep in this spot. For me, I went with the number 5 Genetics on top for Bill Mott. I wanted to take a little bit of a price, 6-1 on Genetics. Bill Mott, he kind of, for a long time, was known as a guy that second out is when you need to play Bill Mott horses. He's been doing pretty decent with first-time starters the last couple of years. So I like Genetics in the spot a little bit here. Like I said, 6-1 is a Tappet horse out of a Point Given mare. Really, really fast work last time out, a faster work than what you're normally used to seeing. So I like the 5 a bit here. I think he's a decent horse for sure. The 3, Stellar Maris, that's a decent horse as well. To pause with a first-time starter, don't hate that either. And then the 7, Clearly a Test. I think the horse just didn't break all that well last time out, and maybe will run a little bit better today. Camejo, pretty solid trainer, gets Ortiz aboard So I think the 7 makes sense as well. I went 6, 3, 7 in here. I mentioned Somich. He was kind of in a few different places here. He went 3, 1, and 4. So he's very different. And this is one of the races where we're very different where we're at here. So he went 3, 1, 4. We both like the 3. He used that 1 and 4. And I went in a different direction there with this one with the 1 and the 5. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, for Somich's sake, genetics does not win because he'll be out of the early pick 5 there. So we'll see. I don't know. I think this Mott runner is going to show something here. I expect a good performance from that one. All right. Second race is another race for the 2-year-old fillies. This time, though, we head to the turf. We head to 2 turns, and these are always tough races, man, at Saratoga. These just seem to be loaded, and at Del Mar, for that matter. These turf 2-year-old races, always tough. Got a field of 9 here. The 1 did scratch. I didn't get too fancy with this one. I leaned heavily on the connections. So the 2, Nikitas is the horse I put on top for Chad Brown, Irad Ortiz. Just made a lot of sense to me. You kind of look at how this horse is coming along. Looks pretty decent. This is an interesting horse. The horse is by Audible out of the Factor mare. So doesn't really scream 2 turns on the turf, but we'll see what happens here. I think this is going to be pretty darn interesting to see how this 2 runs. I think this is a pretty, I've heard some decent things about her, but I think you've got to really go deep in this one. Michael, you mentioned the Mike Maker at a price. Dr. Ray D is a horse that I really was looking at here. The 9 horse that ran pretty well on debut, going 6 furlongs. Now we're stretching out in distance. Got a pedigree that says that's going to help. So I definitely use the 9. I think that's a good call there by you. And then, the 4 is the other one, Lady Blitz for Todd Pletcher. I thought this was an interesting runner as well, moving over to the turf after 2 races, sprinting on the dirt. Another horse by Audible, so starting to see his name come up here. We'll see what happens. Sometimes Pletcher can be sneaky with these types. So we'll see if this horse can kind of move over to the turf and run a little bit better than those dirt efforts. For Somich, let's go to his picks here for the second race. He was with me, likes the number 2, the Chad Brown runner as well. He also threw in some bombs. So this is going to be interesting to see how this comes in. So he's got the 2. He also used the 3 Sea Dancer, a horse that is not really a bomb. He's 9-2, coming off of a 6 furlong sprint race as well. Same race as Dr. Ray D. Now, Dr. Ray D did finish ahead of this horse, Sea Dancer, but they finished 3rd and 4th. It was a nose that separated the 2. So, I get it. I think Sea Dancer does make sense. Don't hate that pick from him. And then he put Body Ya, the 5 horse, into the mix as well. This is a horse by Uncle Mo out of a Bernardini mare, making the debut for Tom Amos. So the 5 horse, very interesting, 15-1. Certainly, Tom Amos at times can come up here and pop with a big one. Kendrick Carmouche gets aboard. That kind of has me thinking we're going to send this horse out of the gate. And I wish Somich was here. Maybe he could kind of fill us in on that. But I kind of know how he plays turf races. He likes speed, usually in turf. I'm wondering if the Kendrick Carmouche on the 5 here makes Somich believe that maybe the 5 is going to get sent. So really, really, really good 2-year-old races here. And I'm not a huge Kendrick Carmouche on the turf fan, Kevin, but I am kind of like, well, if he's on the horse, you kind of got a feeling that he's going to send him. So we'll see what happens here. So it will be very, very interesting to see how this one plays out. These first 2 races, the ones we talked about at Del Mar, the 2-year-old races, it's like we're looking for stars. We're looking for these great performances. Like I mentioned, Pastor T yesterday. Or at Saratoga, I don't know that we have superstars, but this is going to be an intriguing betting opportunity. So again, Somich went 2, 3, and 5 in that race at Saratoga, the second race there, and I went 2, 4, and 9. All right, let's go to what Somich said this morning in our group chat, the Boulevard of Broken Dreams race. And that is the 8th race, which does have some horses that maybe had big expectations, and maybe some of them might be rounding into them right now, but some of them have been disappointing for sure. So it's a field of 7 after the scratch. here and of the 4-horse. So it's allowance race here on the dirt. It should be pretty interesting here. Going a mile and an eighth, by the way. All right. For me, I'm all about Dreamlike, the 3-horse in here. That's going to be my top selection. Look, the horse ran probably too good to lose on debut at Gulfstream and lost. Ran really, really good again at Gulfstream and lost. Then they went to the Wood Memorial, even though the horse hadn't broke the maiden. I just should have won it. I mean, was green like crazy all the way down the stretch, lost by a head. Gets up here to Saratoga, runs in a maiden special weight going this distance. I thought it was clearly the easiest or the best performance of his career. I thought he was very, very much into it that day. I thought he had regained, or not regained, but found his focus, I would say, in that race. So I was pretty pleased with what I saw. Now, the second place finisher, I should say, of that maiden special weight did come back to win. The third place finisher ran second in that next race. So it wasn't the greatest maiden special weight field, but still they did come back to win races out of it. So I do like the 3 quite a bit. The other logical one is definitely the 7 Magic Tap. I think this horse takes the lead, gets out to the front, tries to take him gate to wire. He did it 2 back at a mile and 16th at Churchill on a maiden special weight. Went to Allowance Company last time out, got beat ahead by Tappett's Conquest. So it's all about how well do you like Tappett's Conquest. I don't like him at all. So I kind of look at that as a negative. Some people may like Tappett's Conquest and say, well, that elevates Magic Tap. He almost beat him. To me, I think it's pretty simple. I think it's 3-7 in this race and move on. I think the 7 gets out in front, and can the 3 go and get him? We'll find out. I about called him Magic. Somich, he likes the 7 Magic Tap on top. He's also going to use 6 Tappet Shoes. That's a horse I don't like very well. So we'll see what happens there. I feel like Tappet Shoes has had plenty of chances to get the job done, just hasn't been able to do it. He did 2 back. He did look pretty decent in that Bathhouse Rose Stakes at Oaklawn Park. He lost by tough luck head, I would say, to Red Route 1. My deal is I don't really like Red Route 1 all that much. I like him as a horse, but I don't think he's like great. I don't like Tappet Shoes, and then Victory Formation was also in that cluster. I don't like Victory Formation, even though he's on my fantasy team. So anyway, Tappet Shoes for me, not a play, but for Somich, he's got him in second, and then he's got Dreamlike in third. So 7-6-3 for Somich. And like I said, one more time for me, 3-7. And I did use the 5. I didn't mention the 5 Film Star. I've got that horse keyed in the second and third spots for exactas and tries. All right, one last one to go, and then we'll do the best bets and get you all out of here today. By the way, if you like this kind of structure of how we're doing this or how I'm doing this, we might do more of it. I think this is kind of a nice little setup for the big day of racing. Maybe on Saturdays and Sundays, we could do something like this. Anyway, 10th race, the last one here, the Mahoney Stakes. This is an awesome race. I'm really excited to see this one. I don't know that we have like superstars in this field, but this is a very balanced race. $150,000 purse, 5.5 furlongs on the turf here. The 8 scratches out, so we do have a field of 9. Yeah, this is going to be awesome. I'm pretty excited to watch this. There's a million different ways you could go. This kind of reminds me a little bit of the Hall of Fame that we talked about. I believe that was on Friday, where it's like, yeah, I mean, people were putting names in the chat, and it's like, yep, that one can win. Yep, that one can win. Really, nobody's going to surprise me. Yeah, all right, Michael, we're on the same horse. I went No Nay Hudson on top, so we'll see what happens here with No Nay Hudson. I like this horse quite a bit. This horse won a turf race, or excuse me, a turf stakes last time out at Churchill Downs. He beat Gaslight Dancer, who's also in this race. Yeah, I like this horse quite a bit. I think he's going to be tough here. I really like the 5, but like I said, wide open race. Go as long or as deep as you can go. Kevin B mentioning the 10 Drew's Gold. That's who I put in second. So Kevin B says 10 does have some breeding underneath to take to the turf. I saw that same thing, Kevin. I think that's a good point. I think it's a good time to try it for the 10 Drew's Gold. You kind of got waxed last time out in the Amsterdam. You couldn't quite get it done in the Woody Stevens. So you tried that grade 1 company on the dirt and grade 2, but the Amsterdam was a loaded race. But it's like, yeah, he just couldn't quite get it done. He didn't embarrass himself. Let's take to the turf. If he pops a huge one here and he wins, it's like, okay, maybe we'll try graded stakes company on the turf. Yeah, and Rodney says he's going to fade the 10. I definitely think, he's kind of like a General Jim in a sense. I know General Jim did have turf races, but have been running on the dirt and then tried the turf last time out in the Hall of Fame. And he was either, yeah, I'm on him, or yeah, I'm going to just completely fade him. So I get that. I don't know. I think this is going to be really interesting because Drew's Gold, I just think this is a horse that he's just a runner, man. And he's going to get out towards the front. And sometimes when you're a runner that goes out towards the front, you really don't care what surface you are. It's just about getting that trip. So I do like the 10 here. I also like the 4 Uncashed. If you remember, Uncashed was entered in a race very similar to this, the Quick Call, that got rained off. And I said, I'm going to take Uncashed in that race, whether it's on or off the turf, because his dirt efforts were like way far and away the best out of everybody in the field. But I was like, I'm really interested to see what he does on the turf. I think he's got pedigree that says turf will be good. Well, that race got rained off. He won by 5.5 on the dirt nobody was shocked by that. Now we get the turf. So we'll see if that kind of comes through. I do like Uncashed here. I think he'll run pretty well in the spot. Somich, to wrap this thing up here, Somich is going to go None Hudson on top as well, which tells me, as Michael has None Hudson, I do, Somich, and Doc Tang, looks like you got him as well. Okay, well, I don't think we're getting 6-1, but anyway, he's got None Hudson on top. He's going to use Gaslight Dancer, and he's also going to use Eyewitness. Gaslight Dancer, a very logical use. Eyewitness as well, coming off a win last time out on the turf at Belmont Park against a similar bunch. So, all right, Somich, like I said, to wrap it up here, Somich is going to go 5, 6, and 2, and I'm going to go 5, 10, and 4. I do have the 2 in 4th there, so we'll see. This is going to be a very, very fun race. All right. That will do it for the preview of today's big races. Now, let me pull up one thing I did not do. I didn't pull up our best bet sheet, so I'll pull that up. We'll read these off, and then that'll do it. All right, hold on here. Let me do this on the fly. Make sure I don't pull up something you guys don't want to see. Let's see. Best bets. There it is. All right, here we go. So it's just Somich and I that have the best bets for today. Magic taking today off. I'm going to go back to baseball. I'm going to go with the Reds. The Reds are playing a doubleheader because they got rained out last night in Pittsburgh. I'm going to go Reds. Reds game 1 of this 2-game doubleheader today. Williamson on the mound. He pitched very good in the game I was actually at last time out where he pitched. He pitched great. If he has that kind of effort, Reds are going to win this game today. Keller on the mound for Pittsburgh. I do think the Reds will hit him a little bit. And the biggest thing, they're plus 125. I thought that's too good of a price to go away from the Reds. So I'm going to go Reds plus 125 for mine. And yes, Michael, preseason football. Yes, Somich is betting preseason football for the best bet today. He's going to go 49ers minus 4. We'll see what happens here. San Francisco 49ers minus 4. I don't have the breakdown from him, but that is definitely an interesting one. And as Kevin B says, and I kind of told him a similar thing this morning, Kevin, when he sent me this, he said, if anyone puts a best bet on a preseason football, you're on crack. So we'll see what happens with Somich on this one. And yeah, as Rodney says, 2 weeks away from football that actually matters. Well, if you're betting, this matters today, but actually counts for the record. Yeah, 2 weeks. I'm very excited for football to be back for sure. So Reds for me, San Francisco 49ers for Somich. All right, guys, that'll do it for the show today. Thanks everybody for joining us. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you didn't get sick of me as we went on here. And anyway, just thought we needed to do a show. So I went in here and I did it. All right, guys, thanks everybody for watching. Good luck everybody for playing today, and we'll see you next week.